Hi everybody, hope you're doing marvelously well. We're at the Biltmore Hotel. This is the Millennium Biltmore Hotel, isn't it?
Yep.
And this is Brian Schmidt. How are you?
How you doing?
That's Schmidt with a D, by the way. Just so when Eric, when you write that down there, you don't spell it badly.
Got it.
This is GameSoundCon. This is quite exciting. First of all, the venue is incredible. We're gonna pan around here for a second. Look at this. Absolutely gorgeous. And you founded this, didn't you?
Yes.
This is your idea.
Yeah, 10 years ago this year, actually.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's been fun.
So, I mean, look, it's obvious why, because it's a huge industry that's just growing. I know it's probably doubling every year.
It seems to be, yeah. Video games have gotten pretty big.
And sound, which is obviously where we come from, especially now with all this talk of virtual, you know, it's growing super fast. I was in Abbey Road a month ago, and they were saying that headphone sales doubled last year.
Oh, I'm sure.
It's
like good quality headphone
good
sales,
quality
not,
headphones.
not cheap earbuds, yeah.
So this is like something I think it's sort of taken people by surprise. So you started this 10 years ago. Tell us about it.
So, I started GameSoundCon 10 years ago. What I noticed is that because I've been doing game music and sound for 33 years now.
Oh, fantastic.
Started back in the Stone Knives and Bearskins age.
Right.
At that time, you actually literally had to be able to be a programmer as well as a composer to be able to write music for games. And what I noticed the last 15, 20 years or so is that more and more people, because of some technological changes that have happened in games, more and more people are coming from different industries, film, television, more linear media, music generation, more traditional Foley sound design. But game audio is really kind of a different thing. There's lots of things, lots of quirks, lots of technical handcuffs you've got. And I noticed that a lot of these traditional awesome film composers and whatnot are coming in, and everybody's tripping over these same issues. It's like, oh, what do you mean I have memory limitations? Or what is streaming? Why do I need to know that? And so I started this 10 years ago, mainly for people who knew linear media really well, professional sound designers or composers or whatnot, but were like, what's this games thing all about?
It's a great idea.
Yeah, and so the first one we did 10 years ago at a Hyatt in Culver City, and that was, I think, 40 people or something like that. And
it's a lot bigger than that now.
About a little more than 10 times bigger.
Yeah, fantastic.
So we've grown to, now we're not just about the sort of game audio 101, which was back then, but we've got 6 concurrent rooms going on, one just about virtual reality audio, we were talking about VR. We've got a track dedicated to game dialogue, which is huge. Game dialogue in games is also quite different. Right? The latest Star Wars game, when you add the add-on packs, 317,000 lines of dialogue. Wow. Typical motion picture is about 2,000.
Several years ago, I worked on Comanche, I think it was called, it was a helicopter game. A friend of mine was working on it, and he just needed an engineer to come in and help, Pro Tools engineer. Yeah. So he said, can you come in and edit audio? And I remember, because when you were talking earlier, something that struck me is we were taking like gunshots, and he said, I need you to trim these tight. Mm-hmm. And I trimmed them tight. And then he came in and went, not tight enough.
Not tight enough. Cut off more of the tail.
Yeah. And I'm like, what do you mean? And I can't remember how many megabytes it was, but it was about this much that the audio was allowed.
Yep. Yeah, that's about the right. This is a technical computer science measurement.
Exactly.
This is how much
That's
audio
how much you
gets.
get for audio. Here's the video. Yes. This is the audio.
That's exactly right.
So it was interesting because yes, there is totally different constraints.
Yeah.
So.
And it's crazy because as an audio person, and this is one of the things that we talk about here at GameSoundCon, you have these trade-offs you got to make. It's like, well, I got 60 minutes of score, but I want to layer that into a dozen tracks so I can have the strings come in only when the enemies are really wickedly active. So I need these tracks of music, and I've also got these sound effects and these lines of dialogue, and they all have to fit in memory. And it's like, I want more variation of my gunshot sounds, but if I do that, I have less room for my dialogue. Right. Okay, I'll cut 4 lines of dialogue, but not, 100 lines of dialogue.
Yep.
No, I can't have 12 levels of music. What if I only had 8 levels of music? And so you're making these constant creative, technical, aesthetic trade-offs. Right. And that's kind of what we geek out about here. It's like, the Triffon's talking about, Brian White and Brian Triffon talking about interactive music in Crackdown 3. They're talking about how they're doing all of this stuff. You know, how does the technical side affect the creative compositional side?
Oh, I love those conversations.
So I
love the idea of like, how do you marry the creativity and the technology? Just because it always seems one overrides the other. You know, and when they're in perfect marriage, that's when you get stuff that works.
Exactly. It's when you've got this great sort of balanced dynamic. And there's other aspects too, right? You've got that one game system, that one PC, also has to render all the graphics and do the AI and do the physics and do the input and do the networking, all this other stuff.
Yeah, and I think for the longest time, one of the complaints I used to hear with not just games, with anything, the online world, was people were always aiming to make everything ran really smoothly if you just happen to have the fastest computer ever.
Yeah.
But most of us, we have relatively fast computers, but our Mac, for instance, in our studio that we use, is years old.
Right.
We just keep maxing it out with RAM.
Yeah.
But my son has a super fast gaming computer, but he's going to have that for 4 years.
Right.
I'm not buying one every year.
Right. And he probably has a $600 graphics card or something too.
Yeah. So he's got a really, really super, it's like an i9, I think. But my point is like, that's going to be out of date at some point. So you've got all these different constraints where you're trying to figure out how to run something that will work for most of the world.
Right.
Not just for that one guy that happened to buy the latest computer this week.
Exactly. Yeah. Fortunately for audio, we're not, certainly graphics is very CPU constrained.
Sure.
And graphics will always, when you've got the next gen graphics card, it looks way better and there's more texture.
Yep.
And audio, it's kind of interesting. We're kind of at this weird point where we're almost driving past our headlights. In other words, we've got enough, there's no such thing as enough. We've got a lot of CPU, and we almost have more CPU than we almost can creatively, aesthetically deal with.
Interesting.
So in other words, there's all this cool stuff we can do.
Yep.
But getting the tools and the pipelines and stuff in place to make it practical and feasible on scale to be able to create, to use all this stuff is kind of a bottleneck. And so...
Well, absolutely, because you're not just dealing with a captive guy or girl sitting in front of their computer.
Correct.
People are streaming. So they need to be able to, and then you've got the constraints of just how fast their internet speeds are, essentially.
Yeah. So that's why, again, a lot of the talks here are about new techniques for optimizing physical modeling of object impacts. Or we'll have a talk about what's the best solutions for interactive music that goes beyond just crossfading at measure boundaries. And it's all, I like in game audio to film in the 20s or 30s. Right? They were Wild West back then, and we're kind of Wild West now. It's like, is this going to work? Let's try this. This could work. Oh, that was terrible. Wow, we're not going to do that again. Or, wow, this really worked. Let's incorporate this into our tools to make it easier to do these sorts of things.
Can we borrow you for a few minutes? Can you show us around a little bit?
Sure, yeah.
That would be really fun. We just arrived, so...
Oh, well...
we're sort of at your mercy.
Welcome to GameSoundCon. We've got 7 rooms running.
Fantastic.
Again, we've got 2 rooms for game audio, roughly Game Audio Essentials, which is sort of the Game Audio 101 cram course in a box.
Yep.
Game Audio Professional tracks are for people who are very experienced in the industry, and that's where people will talk about some of the very detailed things they're doing, advanced things they're doing.
Should we just start and go to something?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Thank you. This is great.
This is...
I didn't realize we get this. Thank you for being here when we arrived.
Oh.
Very opportune.
No.
Thank you.
So this is the Emerald Ballroom. Again, I just love this place. It just got so much character. Although when they built buildings in the 20s, the acoustics was not first and foremost in their mind, so the rooms are a little echoey, but it's still pretty cool. So this is where the keynote is. This is where we have some of our sessions, most of the Game Audio Pro sessions in here.
Right.
So we had an awesome panel this morning with Austin Wintory, who was the first composer to have a video game soundtrack nominated for a Grammy.
Amazing.
Adam Gubman, his score for Journey was up for Grammy for Best Soundtrack for Visual Media. It lost out to the movie soundtrack, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, because despite literally 20 years of lobbying, a group of us have tried to get NARIS interested in games. And finally they said, okay, we'll let games be eligible for Grammy, but we'll stick you in the movie and TV category. So that was the category that he was in for. So a lot of the Game Audio Pro sessions are here. There was an awesome career panel headed by Sarah Kovacs of Craft Angle, Austin Wintory, Adam Gubman, Brian Trifon. This is the sneaky door we're not really supposed to go through.
Okay, but you're the boss.
But yeah, that gives me prerogative on this stuff. So this is where this is sort of the de facto hangout room. We have a great networking mixer here in the evening where we got drinks and fun stuff.
Right.
So in all these different tables here, I was talking about the different game audio technologies there are.
Right.
A lot of these companies have created specialized game audio technologies. So we've got San Francisco Conservatory of Music here. They have a lot of programs in game music. You can get a minor in video game music, or do you have a major in video game music as well?
We do. We offer a 1-year professional development study program that specifically trains students to understand sound design in video games, the audio implementation in Wise and Unity, and we also taught students to be really recording techniques and composition.
That's amazing.
Yeah, what's really cool about this program is students get a chance to record their music piece at Sony PlayStation Studio. So yeah, like once a semester. And I think that was a really good experience to put the practice onto the actual training.
One of the things that's been happening is schools and universities
No problem, pleasure.
have started incorporating game audio into their curricula.
Really smart.
So I teach at a school called Digipen. It's a video game design school. Berkeley School of Music has a great program. Yamaha and Steinberg.
It's great.
They actually have added features to Nuendo that are extremely useful for people working in game audio. So I like it because they're a company that really is doing a good job combining.
I'm just about to do some more stuff with Steinberg, actually.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, what we love about them, frankly, is the sort of utilitarian aspect. You know, it's very German. When you go on the back, there's literally every single output and input you can think of.
Right.
When you talk about game, it makes sense. You know, you talk about gaming, that you buy something that you know you can use in 100 different ways.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, which is very smart.
Then we have here a couple of tools that are specific. So CRI is a tool that ADX.
Nice to meet you.
しばらくでしたね。お元気ですか？おかげさまで元気です。So ADX2 is a piece of specialized audio software that makes it easy to create very flexible sound and music to put into games.
Great.
So it's one of a number of game audio tools that are there. And
fantastic.
We've got a number of other companies, but there's lots of small companies that are getting into this space, and some of the larger companies, again, like Yamaha, Steinberg, are starting to do this as well.
Seems like lots of people should be getting into it, being a little bit more on the, ahead of the curve.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me a lot of the music industry, maybe with about 20 or 30 years delay.
Yeah.
Because if in the 70s I wanted to be a rock and roll star.
Yeah.
If I were going to do that, I'd have to be in a band. I'd have to get signed by a label because studios were so expensive that they'd fund it and you'd become a rock star.
Yeah.
And then, of course, home studios came out.
That's cool.
With desktop music, and then you didn't need the $500 an hour Neve console studio. You could do it on a MacBook.
Sure.
And so the explosion of independently developed music and music production and distribution changed the industry.
Right.
Well, games within about the last 5 to 7 years have kind of undergone that transformation where, again, when I started, if you wanted to work on a video game, it had to be for Sega or Ubisoft or somebody like that. But starting with the App Store 10 years ago, and as some of the game audio tools developed, analogous to home studio software like Logic or something like that, whereas 15 years ago, if you wanted to make a video game, you had to have a deal from a major game publisher, just like you had to get a record deal from a major record label. But now with the tools and the distribution techniques, like iTunes, iStore, all of the major console manufacturers have indie programs. There are tools like Unity and Unreal for game developers that let anybody develop a game and publish it. And I read a stat where last year on the App Store, an average of 20,000 games were added to the App Store every month.
Wow.
And for composers and sound designers, right, we're arms dealers.
Yeah.
Right, we'll give our music and sound to those 20,000.
Yeah.
So there's a lot more work for people doing sound for music. And there's a lot more interesting, quirky kinds of games, right? When you have a vibrant indie scene
Yeah.
You get the quirky, chancy thing that maybe the big studio wouldn't take a pass on. So it's just exciting to see.
It seems like every other friend of mine has designed some kind of app.
Yeah. We have a conference app now. Apps are everything.
Yeah, everything. This is amazing. So what else we got going on?
So speaking of music, one of the things that's sort of cropped up is people understanding that game music is actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
And a lot of people listen to game music just to listen to it.
Sure.
And Material Collective is an example of a company that, a small company in Seattle, they do a whole bunch of things. So they're essentially a video game music publisher.
Interesting.
And so everything from helping composers put out vinyls, records of their game soundtracks, to publishing, Undertale piano collection, to putting out CDs, to managing relationships with Spotify and YouTube and so on. So, thinking of music as the product, putting it in people's consumer hands.
Smart to get
Whether
involved.
it's the 10-year-old piano lesson taker who wants to play Halo instead of Chopin, or just the fan that loves a particular brass quintet's cover version of Assassin's Creed music. That's what Material Collective does. So that's
amazing.
What we're here for. We've got Magic Leap, and they're not here right now. They are Google Magic Leap. It's awesome. It's augmented reality. You put on these goggles, and it's not VR where it blocks out your world, but it's augmented reality where I could put a little guy sitting on that table there.
So it's like the Pokemon,
Think about Pokemon Go, but instead of holding your phone around like this and looking kind of idiotic, you're just wearing these goggle things, and the objects are appearing.
Nice.
So that's very cool. We've got here a company that does.
How's it going? Hey, Warren, nice to meet you.
So with the advent of virtual reality, certain technologies in audio became really, really important. So Visisonics is a special company that specializes in how do we take sound and for somebody doing, let's say, virtual reality, make it appear like it's from here, or from there, or behind them, or around them, or in a giant space, or in a little narrow room, or something like that. So the technologies that they have are really, and it takes a lot of math. You take a sound, perform a lot of magic math on it, deliver it to the earphones, and now, poop, it sounds like it's here and coming towards you.
This is Rod Haxton. Hey, Rod.
Hi.
From Real Space 3D Audio. Tell us about, what do you do?
We do 3D audio where we, through software, make it appear that the audio is wherever the object is. So if it's in front of you, you hear it in front of you. If it's behind you, you hear it behind you. That's why it's called real space. It's like you're really in that space, and the audio is, real as it should be projected. And we're basing it off of audio physics. So based off of how the sound waves hitting your shoulders, bouncing, reflecting off and into your ears. We also take into material qualities and give you the proper audio physics reflections and material reflections.
If this is done to the nth degree that it could be done, all of this, I'm going to be specific, but all of this idea of all these hundreds of speakers, well not hundreds, but loads of speakers all around you is going to evaporate.
Yeah.
And you're just going to put on a nice pair of headphones and get the same experience.
Right. It's similar to graphics with ray tracing, with all these rays bouncing off into your eyes. Well, it's the same thing, but to your ears. But we know the sweet spots, so we don't need to calculate those millions of audio rays. We take down the specific ones that trick your ears into believing that, hey, this object is behind me, so, play it that way.
Amazing.
Here you go.
It's pretty amazing.
So you don't need, you don't need speakers set up or anything.
It's pretty
like
amazing. You would believe that the sound is coming from here. Yeah, it works entirely. Do you mind if I hold it? Because I want to. It's crazy. You would honestly believe that that is a speaker.
You don't need this gizmo to
How
do
fast?
what we do. Well, the latencies, depending on this is just an old physics box of Polhemus, so it's based off of the latency of this. But if we have something that can track really fast, you can still get it.
That's amazing. Really good. That's incredible.
So we have a plugin that works with Unity and Unreal.
Yeah.
That allows you to quickly get this. And right now, what you were hearing was just straight directional audio, object-based. But we also create environments like with a virtual room that'll give you can say the floor has carpet, there's glass, or marble, and you get.
So I want to hear this as a full, complicated mix of music and sound.
Yeah.
That's really the test, isn't it? When you hear things.
We should have brought we have a demo, VR demo that allows you to be like you're in this big cathedral or space room with other objects and you can throw them around, but we didn't bring our VR demo. But
okay, next time.
Yeah.
Where are you based?
We're a spin out from the University of Maryland, so we're in Maryland on College Park. So It's from our professor, Dr. Ramani Duraswamy, his IP, and we've managed to commercialize it.
It's amazing.
My company's called Gigantic Software.
Gigantic Software.
Gigantic Software, and we produce Varantic.
Okay.
And Varantic is a piece of technology that is used for sound designers. So if you have a few sound effects that you like, Varantic could take those sound effects and create a probabilistic model of a sound and then generate thousands and thousands of variable sounds like the ones you gave it, but not the same as any of them. So you must have played some games where you've heard the same footstep over and over and over again.
Same gunshot.
Same gunshot over and over and over again. So a very typical use case that sound developers will use Varantic for is to take a few gunshots and then vary them so that they have a very natural quality.
Right.
So for footsteps, for clothing sounds, for impacts, anything with a little bit of rustle, or things where you want some variation to believe in it, that's where our customers will use Varantic to put in a bunch of sound effects into a game.
And what we were talking about a second ago, the advantage of that is that you don't have to use as much space, basically.
Yeah,
you can have this software.
So currently the way that most video games work is if you want to record a variation for a sound, then you'll have to store all those variations in memory. And memory is a very finite resource on consoles, on your cell phones. But this way, because we represent sounds as likelihoods, we can generate as many variations as you need and it doesn't take extra memory.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So have you got anything you can show us?
Sure. So in this case, I'll start from the beginning here.
Great.
Okay, so in this example, I'm going to take a handful of gun sounds right here, and I'm going to drag them into the tool. So I'm going to let you listen to each sound right here to get a sense of what they sound like.
Yep.
That's the first sound. That's the second sound. That's the third sound. Got that? Now Varantic's going to generate a bunch of different variations. Everyone just a tiny bit different from the one previous to it.
Right.
And so as a result, you can, with only a few sound effects, create as many variations as you want. You can do it with footsteps, you can do it with dialogue to get gibberish sounds, you can do it with explosions to get a variety of different sound effects like that. So our customers, companies like Sony and Disney, use this stuff in theme parks as well.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And for storage, how big is the software itself? How much?
Really small. So if you use this kind of compression technology, it takes up about the size of a large OGG Vorbis file.
Right.
Yeah.
Great. Mm-hmm. Well, fantastic. Where are you based?
We're based out of just south of Los Angeles, actually.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Great. So how did you come up with the idea of this?
Well, let me tell you a story. So I was working on a game called Silent Hill Homecoming. And so it's a horror game. And one of my jobs there was to figure out how to synthesize as many different sound effects as the game needed. And after a long, long night of work, I came home around 2 or 3 in the a.m. I was so exhausted, and my creativity, everything was just sapped about me. But as I was walking home, here in this part of the United States, we have blackbirds. And as I was walking from my car to my house, I just kept hearing this bird singing over and over again. And as I listened to him, he would sing a little bit of song, and then he would change the song a little bit and repeat it. Then he would change the song, play it backwards and upside down and repeat it. And then he would change the song again and introduce something different. And I just stopped and I listened to this bird for maybe 5 minutes, and he never repeated himself. And something happened to me in that moment, because I'm an audio engineer. I know how to write code. I know how to manage audio. So from that inspiration, that's the thing that caused me to create Verantic. I realized that from only a few sound elements, you could actually create as many sound effects as you need.
Right.
That was how it blew up for me.
So what is it? How do you do it?
How do you do it?
Yeah.
Just listen to blackbirds. That's how you do it.
A little bit more hard work than that, but I like that.
It really is. Captain Beefheart's advice for guitar players: go out and listen to the birds. They know more about music than any human being will ever know.
Yeah, I like that. And I can go with a Captain Beefheart reference.
All right.
That's good. Ken, how are you?
Good, how are you doing?
I'm good. So tell us a little bit about what you're doing here.
So we're representing G.A.N.G, which is Game Audio Network Guild, an international organization representing the audio side of games, which is woefully underrepresented in the entire game industry. So what we're doing here is we are giving a face to the organization. And the organization is active around the world, helping sound designers, composers, and voice actors in the industry. So that's what basically the premise is.
It's really fantastic.
We also have our own awards, which happens at GDC, which is in San Francisco in March.
Great.
So there's that. But we also provide networking opportunities, job opportunities, discounts, and other facilitating things that we can help people in this industry. So that's basically.
No, I love you. You're helping build community.
Well, it is a community. It's been around for almost 20 years, so it's not a. We're no longer. We're getting out of the teens. Let's put it that way.
So we have a lot of people that follow us that are composers, producers, engineers, mixers. They're creating music. Where can they find you?
Audio G.A.N.G. GANG.org.
Okay, we'll put a link down here so you can go in. And is there a fee to join? What's the?
Yeah, there's an annual fee depending on your status in the industry. There's obviously a discount for students, and of course, if you're professional, you might pay a little more.
Fantastic. Well, thanks ever so much for sharing. Thank you.
Join up. We're open to everybody.
Here at GameSoundCon, we're with Stephanie from Hi-Rez Studios. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How about you?
I'm marvelous. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do at Hi-Rez Studios?
Yeah, sure. So I work in talent acquisition. I am the recruiter at Hi-Rez Studios. So a little bit about the company. We are a game developer. We specialize in free-to-play console, mobile, and PC multiplayer games. We are the creators of Schmidt, Paladins, Realm Royale. We also developed Rogue Company, and we're currently working on an unannounced project as well.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So we are hiring a lot of positions. So
you are?
Yeah. So we're looking to hire sound engineers. We're looking to hire audio programmers, technical sound engineers, and we're also looking to hire outside of that as well, such as gameplay programmers. We're looking to hire artists. We're looking to hire concept artists, animators. We're looking to hire lighting.
With the audio side, how many positions are you looking to fill?
So a little bit of everything. So we're mainly looking at senior sound designers right now, kind of like building that foundation, and then maybe in the future kind of look to hire like younger talent and stuff like that. We also focus on an internship program during the summer, which is kind of like a 2 to 3 month program where you receive a lot of constructive criticism and a lot of like hands-on skills during those months. It's also a paid internship. We do get a lot of students get hired full-time afterwards, so it's a really great way to get the foot in the door. And
if there's anybody that feels like they fulfill this criteria, where should they write to you?
Yeah, so you can reach me on LinkedIn. You can search on my name, or you can give me an email, send me an email at sdang@hirezstudios.com.
Say it one more time.
It's sdang@hirezstudios.com.
Did you get that? Okay, great. Stephanie, thank you ever so much.
Thank
I
you
really
so much.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
With Marcel here.
Yeah,
How are you?
Marcel. Very well, thank you.
Good.
Thanks for stopping by. Yamaha Steinberg booth here, where we're showing audio interfaces from Steinberg, Yamaha, headphones.
We know the AXR4 very well. It's
AXR4 down
fantastic.
there, yes, and then of course headphones, 3 types of headphones. You can come in and listen to different headphones and hear them. If you do binaural, let's say audio sound effects and things like that.
Great.
And here, I'm running a laptop with multiple. So I'm showing basically new Windows 10 integration with third-party software and hardware.
Great.
So the integrations with, of course, WWise, which is a friend next door here, Audio Kinetic. Is a plugin, special plugin, so you can actually drag and drop different audio MIDI as well as markers directly into a WWise directory, which is really nice. Also integrates with 2 3D programs, Dolby Atmos Renderer, that's a third generation, 3.3, or 3.2, excuse me, integrating with New Window Panner. So we have a part of New Window has a Dolby Atmos Panner that you can see here, and everything you're doing, any automation you're doing within that panner will be showing in here. And from here, we're going to this box, which is the MMP1 for control room, base management, and routing. So you can actually reroute audio anywhere you want. This is actually, it's got a 64 I/O of Dante, 16 AES CBU input outputs, and 8 analog I/O.
Do you know
So a lot
what
of
this is
different,
retailing at?
About 4,500. 4,500 is about 4,000
Oh, wow.
map. Yeah, that's manufacturer suggested retail price.
Great.
And you can control this box through an editor, through the laptop, or an iPad. There's an iPad app for that as well.
Fantastic.
So which is showing here. So the flow is basically going from New Window to that third-party software.
Yep.
That third-party software goes to this box. That box goes to the speakers or headphones. You have all 3 applications. The other application I have here running is called Spat Revolution, which happened to be a small French company. It's been around. It's fairly new.
Yeah.
It's backed by IRCAM, which is an Institute of Research of Acoustic and Music in France. It's been around for quite some time. And all that research come into this 3D advanced 3D programs here, which of course can be tied within New Windows 10. In all 3 applications, New Windows 10 has also a binaural ambisonic panner. So you can actually get all this 3D panning and then get converted into binaural to stereo on your headphones. So you have the choice, actually. You can use the binaural converter from New Window, binaural converter from Dolby Atmos, or the binaural converter from SPAT. So
Nice.
So this is kind of the setup I have today.
That's really fantastic. Thanks for showing us through all of this. What is the third-party thing here? Oh, it's Dolby Atmos.
Dolby Atmos is a Dolby Atmos renderer, so it's software. You have 2 options. You have software and hardware options. That's actually the least expensive solution. So that's about $1,000 for the software in here. About more like $1,800 for SPAT. New Window runs about $980.
Great. Well, thanks ever so much.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks for stopping by.
Okay. We're here with Sean from Steinberg. How are you?
Great. How are you?
Good to see you. So you've got some products here. This we're actually very familiar with, of course, because we already did a giveaway and review on this.
Yep.
What we personally love about it is the flexibility and the typical sort of German sensibility. It has like pretty much every single input and output you could imagine on a unit. We're just talking off camera with Marcel about how one of the things we love about Steinberg is the fact that we can show up to any studio when we're doing courses and stuff, and somebody just gives you a cable, and there's usually a way that you can connect it.
Yeah, 100%.
So how is this working? Because here we are, we're at this GameSoundCon. How you're here? In what respect? You've got connectability, and you're going to work and integrate with guys and girls that are working in the gaming world. What is
correct? So basically, anybody that's interested in recording, could be game audio people, which is we are here at the GameSoundCon. So anybody that's interested in recording that needs to get their audio recorded onto their computer, they need an audio interface. So to start, this top unit here is the UR22C, which is a part of a series of 3 different models. This is the UR22C with 2 in, 2 out. There's also a UR44C with 6 in, 4 out. And there's also an 816C for 16 in and 16 out. And what's cool about these is they have USB-C connectivity to match with the newer computers. They have Yamaha DP preamps for super clean and transparent signal. In addition to that, the coolest thing about these is that they have 32-bit integer audio resolution and a 192 kilohertz sample rate. So these are some of the highest resolution audio that you can get for a unit of this kind, especially at this price point.
What is the price point for the smallest, the UR22C?
189.
Oh, wow.
Price. Yeah.
That's really good. We're going to do a review and a giveaway, so stay in touch with us because that will be coming up in a later video.
Yep.
I don't know the RT4 as well.
Yeah, so this middle unit is the URT4.
Yep.
There's also an additional unit of the URT2, which is comparable to the UR22C and IO. Yep. But this URT4 has, see these 4 preamps, the Yamaha D-Pre's on the front again. But the coolest thing about these is that they have a real Rupert Neve Designs transformer built in. So that you'll see these white switches here. You can switch it on and off. So if you just want a clean, transparent signal on the way in, you can switch it off. But if you want that Neve-style saturation and analog warmth, you're going to want to switch that on. And if you're getting one of these, you might as well just have them on all the time. So this unit is 6-in, 4-out, MIDI I/O on the back, phantom power, high Z inputs on the front, the whole 9. So.
I think we did try this out, didn't we? Yeah. Eric, we did try this out because I remember we ended up liking this on pretty much the whole time. Yeah, fantastic. Well, thanks, Sean.
Yeah, thank you.
So I hope you enjoyed that overview. It's been a fun day here at GameSoundCon. Thank you, Brian, for showing us around. Please come back tomorrow as well to check out the interview we did with Wilbert Roget. That's Will Roget, who is an amazing composer who did Call of Duty, Lara Croft, Star Wars, the Call of Duty World War II, if some of you might know that, and is just killing it and has an amazing story. As he put it, he said, I'm just a kid from Philadelphia, and he's doing really well. So watch that tomorrow. There'll be some great information on how he got into the world of game music composing. So that will be great as well. Please, as ever, leave a bunch of comments and questions below. Have a marvelous time recording and mixing. Hope this has been very informative. Don't forget to check out all these different people. G.A.N.G, that would be really wonderful to sign up for, and you'll get loads of information. Have a marvelous time recording and mixing. See you all again very, very soon.